Have you ever wondered what makes a Rolex watch so special? It's not just a timepiece. It's a symbol of success, a statement of achievement. But the story behind this legendary brand is even more incredible than the watches themselves. It's a story of a young orphan who, against all odds, built an empire that would change the world of horology forever. This is the story of Rolex and its visionary founder, Hans Wilsdorf. Our story begins not in the glamorous workshops of Geneva, but in Kulmbach, Germany, in 1881. Hans Wilsdorf was born into a humble family. Tragedy struck early in his life. By the age of 12, he was an orphan, his parents having passed away within months of each other. He and his siblings were left in the care of their uncles, who, seeing no other option, sold the family business and placed the children in a boarding school. Young Hans was suddenly alone, responsible for his own future. It was a harsh start to life, one that could have easily broken him. But instead, it forged in him an incredible sense of independence and a fierce determination to succeed. He once wrote that he was a victim of the terrible handicap of being an orphan at the tender age of 12. Yet, this handicap became his driving force. He knew that to survive and thrive, he had to rely on himself. After finishing his studies, Hans began working as an apprentice for a pearl merchant in Switzerland. This was his first taste of the world of international business, and he quickly proved to be a natural. He was meticulous, hardworking, and had a keen eye for quality. It was during this time that he learned the importance of precision and trade, skills that would become the cornerstone of his future empire. But it was his next job at a watch exporting company in La Chaux-de-Fonds, the heart of Swiss watchmaking, that truly ignited his passion. Here, he was surrounded by the intricate beauty of timepieces. He was fascinated by the complex mechanisms, the delicate dance of gears and springs that could accurately measure the passage of time. He observed everything, learned everything he could, and a dream began to form in his mind. He saw a future for the watch that others couldn't. At the turn of the 20th century, the world of watches was very different. The most common timepiece was the pocket watch. It was elegant, but impractical. Wristwatches, or wristlets as they were called, were seen as flimsy, inaccurate pieces of jewelry worn exclusively by women. Men of status carried a pocket watch. But Hans Wilsdorf saw things differently. He envisioned a future where the wristwatch would be the standard for everyone. He believed it could be robust, reliable, and precise a tool for the modern age. He saw the potential for a watch that could keep pace with an increasingly active and dynamic world. This was a radical idea, one that many of his contemporaries dismissed as a fantasy. They believed a small mechanism worn on the wrist could never be as accurate or durable as a larger pocket watch. But Hans was undeterred. His vision was clear. In 1905, at the age of just 24, Hans made a bold move. He relocated to London, then the commercial center of the world, and with his brother-in-law, Alfred Davis, founded his own company, Wilsdorf and Davis. Initially, they didn't make watches themselves. Instead, they imported high-quality Swiss movements from a small manufacturer in Bienne, Switzerland, and placed them in elegant cases made in England. He personally tested each movement, ensuring it met his exacting standards for precision. He was building a reputation for reliability, one watch at a time. But he knew that to truly build a global brand, he needed a name. A name that was short, easy to remember and pronounce in any language, and looked good on a watch dial. He spent weeks trying to come up with the perfect name. He later said he tried combining the letters of the alphabet in every way possible, creating hundreds of names, but none of them felt right. Then one morning in 1908, as he was riding on the upper deck of a horse-drawn omnibus in London, he said a good genius whispered in my ear, "Rolex." It was perfect. Short, sharp, and sophisticated. It had a certain ring to it, a sound of quality and precision. That day, the Rolex brand was born. It was a name destined for greatness, but at the time it was just the beginning of a long and arduous journey. Convincing people to trust this new name and the radical concept of the wristwatch was his next great challenge. Hans knew that to overcome the public skepticism, he needed to prove that his wristwatches were not just fashionable accessories, but truly reliable timekeeping instruments. He decided to pursue official accuracy certifications, a standard previously reserved only for the finest marine chronometers. In 1910, a Rolex watch became the first wristwatch in the world to receive the Swiss Certificate of Chronometric Precision. This was a huge achievement, but Hans wanted more. He set his sights on the most prestigious timekeeping award in the world, the Q Observatory A, certificate from England, known for its incredibly rigorous testing. In 1914, a tiny Rolex wristwatch was subjected to 45 days of tests in 5 different positions and 3 different temperatures. It passed with flying colors, proving that a small wristwatch could indeed be as accurate as the best pocket watches. This was a monumental victory. It was the proof Hans needed to silence the critics and establish Rolex as a leader in precision. With accuracy conquered, Hans turned his attention to another major weakness of early wristwatches: their vulnerability to the elements. Dust and moisture could easily get inside the case, ruining the delicate movement. Hans dreamed of creating a truly waterproof watch. He saw this not just as a feature, but as a fundamental necessity. A watch that you never had to take off, that could withstand anything life threw at it. Many told him it was impossible. But Hans Wilsdorf didn't believe in the word impossible. He began experimenting with different case designs, searching for a way to create a perfect seal. The breakthrough came in 1926. Inspired by the concept of a submarine hatch, Rolex engineers developed a revolutionary system: a screw-down crown, a screw-down bezel, and a screw-down case back. This combination created a hermetically sealed case, completely impervious to water and dust. He called this groundbreaking watch the Rolex Oyster. To prove its waterproof capabilities, Hans orchestrated one of the most brilliant marketing stunts in history. In 1927, he gave a Rolex Oyster to a young English swimmer named Mercedes Glitz, who was about to attempt to swim the English Channel. She wore the watch around her neck on a ribbon. After more than 10 hours in the frigid, turbulent water, Glitz was forced to give up her swim due to exhaustion, but the watch was perfectly fine. It was still ticking accurately, completely unaffected by its long submersion. The next day, Rolex took out a full-page ad on the front of London's Daily Mail, celebrating the wonder watch that defies the elements. The Rolex Oyster became an overnight sensation. The public was captivated. This wasn't just a watch. It was a piece of adventure, a testament to human endurance and technological innovation. The era of the modern sports watch had begun, and Rolex was leading the charge. From that point on, Rolex became synonymous with exploration and achievement. The brand's philosophy was simple: use the world as a living laboratory to test and improve their watches. In the 1930s, Rolex equipped the first expeditions to fly over Mount Everest, proving their watches could function perfectly at high altitudes and in extreme cold. They developed the perpetual rotor, a self-winding mechanism that harnessed the motion of the wearer's wrist to power the watch, a feature that is now standard in almost all automatic watches. During World War II, British prisoners of war discovered that their Rolex watches were far superior to anything else available. Hans Wilsdorf even offered to replace captured officers' watches. Asking them to pay only after the war was a testament to his faith in the Allied victory and his brilliant marketing mind. The list of Rolex's achievements goes on and on. In 1953, Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay were equipped with Rolex Oysters on their historic first ascent of Mount Everest. That same year, Rolex launched the Submariner, the first diver's watch waterproof to 100 meters, which would go on to become an icon. They launched the GMT Master for Pan Am pilots, allowing them to track 2 time zones at once. They ventured to the deepest point on Earth, the Mariana Trench, with the experimental Deep Sea Special in 1960, proving their watches could withstand crushing pressures. Each of these milestones wasn't just a marketing opportunity. It was a validation of Hans Wilsdorf's original vision: to create the most robust, reliable, and precise watches in the world. Hans Wilsdorf passed away in 1960, leaving behind an incredible legacy. He had transformed the watch industry and built one of the most powerful and respected brands on the planet. But his greatest act of foresight may have been what he did with his empire. Being a childless widower, he transferred all of his ownership shares to the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, a private trust he established in 1945. This ensured that Rolex would never be sold, broken up, or have its shares traded on the stock market. It guarantees that a significant portion of the company's income goes to charity, and most importantly, it allows Rolex to operate with a long-term vision, free from the short-term pressures of shareholders. It can focus on what it does best: perpetual innovation and the relentless pursuit of perfection. So the next time you see a Rolex, remember the story behind it. Remember the 12-year-old orphan who refused to be defined by his circumstances. Remember the young visionary who saw a future that no one else could. And remember the relentless innovator who conquered accuracy, water, and even gravity to build an empire of time. The story of Rolex is a powerful reminder that with a clear vision, unwavering determination, and an obsession with quality, it's possible to turn even the most audacious dreams into reality. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing stories behind the world's most iconic brands. See you in the next one.